Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode, Master Moats Film Session, and it is brought to you by DRAFTKINGS Sportsbook, America's top-rated sports booking app. Not only is it safe, but it is secure, and my favorite part is it is reliable, baby. And for all the first-time users out there, if you use the promo code MOATS, you will receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money. So stop wasting time, download the app and use the promo code so you can get an opportunity to make a little money. First off, I want to talk about Diontae Johnson. He's going to be the first player, that we're going to break down tonight. And this first play that we got to talk about, man, is this 41-yard catch that he had in the second quarter. It was beautiful. So, as I'm getting ready to play this play in full speed, you know how we do it. I'll play it full speed. After that, I'll break it down. But if you have questions, definitely put them in there so that way we can get this thing rolling. I like it interactive, baby, all right? So, without further ado, here we go. And for those that don't know, that is Diontae Johnson. Beautiful. Alrighty. So, you know how we do this thing. Let's go ahead and break this thing down, all right? So, first off, talking from an offensive perspective, Steelers are in what we call 11 personnel, right? Meaning you got one running back, which is right here, Mr. James Conner, and then you have one tight end, right? We talked about that the last time we did this thing, right? So first digit always for the running backs, second digit is always for the number of tight ends. So this is 11 personnel, okay? One back, one tight end. Now, they start out in empty, and you do this for a couple of reasons, especially with young quarterbacks. When you get in empty, two things are going to happen. Number one, whatever coverage they are in from a defensive standpoint, they will tip their hand because they're going to have to walk out and make their adjustments because it's empty. And obviously, you're going to be stressed out a little bit trying to disguise with, guys just standing over here wide open. So you see the Browns already, as we play this in slow motion as well, starting to make adjustments. This guy's talking a little bit. Now, once you get James to go back to the back foot, before I even get to that point, when I talked about the two things that could happen, the first thing being what? They're going to tip their hand. But the second thing is this. You can potentially get them to do an empty check. Now, every team has an empty check, right? And you have to have this because empty formations, certain defensive calls, they're not meant for empty because obviously those are 5 eligible wide receivers and some defenses just can't handle the stress of that. So you have to make a check, get you into something that's a little bit more, Swiss Army knife style. You can use it in any scenario. So with the Browns, what they do here, they check to cover 3. That was their empty check that they went with. They ran cover 3 and they ran a lot of cover 2 because obviously last year, Mason Rudolph struggled with what? Cover 2, but it was the Tampa 2 version. That's where he threw the 2 interceptions. So we saw a lot of both of those coverages, okay? So now, as James motions back, they've already made their empty check. So for Mason, he knows whatever they checked into ahead of time, they're not going to check out of this thing, all right? So now he kind of has an idea of the coverage. And what they're running on defense is a cover 3 concept, but they have a slightly different twist to how they run their cover 3. So first off, let's just talk about the basics of cover 3, right? Wind this back a little bit. And once I pull up the full defense, I'll check the questions, all right? So right here, when we're talking about cover 3, typically how it works is what? This guy has that, safety right here in the middle. This backside corner has that 3, right? So you got your 3 high look, 1, 2, 3 high. And then this guy is curl flat. He'll be your hook curl. It's got to be your hook curl over here. And he'll be your curl flat defender there. So we call it what? A 4 underneath, 3 deep. That's when you hear people say 4 underneath, 3 deep, this is exactly what they're talking about because you can count it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders underneath, 1, 2, 3 defenders deep, all right? So that's the basics of what they were running, okay? But what they do that is slightly different, all right? They ran their cover 3, but they locked the backside, meaning this guy right here, They locked them, and from here they played it like this right here. 1, 2. He buzzes out here. Hook, hook. This guy though, this remaining guy right here, he is what we call a robber, okay? This guy right here is playing a robber technique. He's not responsible for anyone in particular, but he's looking at this guy, which is Juju and Vance McDonald, and he's trying to take any of these routes that are gonna come in this area. He's trying to take them away, okay? So that's what he's doing right now, and we can see that a little bit once this play gets a little bit, I'll skip it to right here. So you see, he went from there to there. That's the only place he was trying to get to, okay? Here it is again. Just the slow-mo version of it. Just so you can see where he's trying to get to. Right in that window, right? Because we know Pittsburgh, man. Juju, Vance, they like to get in this area right here above the ball, about 10 to 20 yards, okay? That's their sweet spot. So the Browns knew that going in, so they made this guy solely responsible for this area, okay? So he's still playing cover 3. He's playing cover 3. All these guys are playing cover 3. These two guys right here are switches for. He's locked on Diontae on the backside. And like I said, this guy's robbing the dig route, okay? So let me exit out of here real quick and see if we have any questions first off. Okay. Hey, shout out to my man Eli. You're never late, baby. You're always on time. All right? All right. Okay, yeah, Big Wiggly, you're right about that, man. We did end up with Landry on Williamson a little bit too much. Avery was trying his best in that scenario, but yeah, he definitely was short-handed right there, man. All right, but I don't see any accuracy with our first. Okay. All right, cool. So let's get back to this real quick. Oh, and y'all know too, I forgot to say this at the beginning of the thing, but 2 things. Number 1, let me know where you're coming in from, man. Let me know where you're watching from. You know, I love that. It makes me feel more at home. Makes me feel more, connected with y'all. So let me know where you're watching from. As always, I'm in good old Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, babe. I need to adjust the heat, man. I am baking in here right now. But such is life in 2021, baby. So like I said, let me know where you're watching from. Also, if you're liking what you're seeing, you're liking the video, click the like button. But also, if you're a new person, a new viewer, hit that subscribe button, man, because we got plenty of content and join the family, baby. But back to the scheduled programming here, all right? So let's get right back to the top of this thing. So we said right now that what? The Browns are playing a cover 3 concept, but they're locking the backside, right? And they got this safety who typically would be a curl flat defender. He's robbing the dig routes, right? With heavy focus on Juju and Vance McDonald. Now, for the Steelers, we said they came out of empty personnel and they motioned it back out of empty, all right? So we know right now that Mason knows the call. And now, it's all about where Mason wants to go with this ball, okay? So when we talk about front side versus back side of a formation, this is what we mean. These 3 receivers over here, wherever your passing strength is, meaning wherever you have more eligible receivers, that is always going to be deemed the front side of the formation, okay? And then obviously you got the backside. Now, typically the receiver on the backside, that has to be a bad dude because he's not going to have the luxury of, bunches to his side. He's not going to have the luxury of other guys running routes in his area to free him up. You got to be a big dog on the backside of the formation, all right? But the thing that I was a little bit surprised with was Cleveland challenging Mason like this. Now, we understand, the quarterback play, a little bit of the deep balls have been the Achilles heel of the team this year, right? We said, man, the completion percentages on some of these 30-plus yard passes isn't what we would like to see it. So the Browns took that to heart. And when you talk about challenging I haven't seen this particular coverage concept since college, high school, because a lot of times this receiver on the backside, unless you have a stud backside corner, I'm talking a Jalen Ramsey type, right? Obviously Joe Hayden, he was there in his career at times. Trey White, different guys like that. You could play those coverages predominantly with them because they're great man-to-man cover guys. But if you have a team like the Browns, who we knew going into this game didn't have the starting corners that they were accustomed to, obviously between COVID and injuries, you don't typically play this type of coverage like that without having marquee corners because these type of things can happen. Mason knows right now, even with the pressure that Mason is facing as the pocket collapses, and we'll get on that as well, especially at the end zone copy, he knows where he wants to go with this ball, and that's the biggest thing that saves him in this scenario, because he honestly doesn't have a ton of time from the time he catches the snap to setting up and throwing the ball. We're just going to look at where Diontae is. At the time, Diontae and this corner are pretty much even, but he knows Diontae has that separation, and great job by Diontae giving himself enough space with the route that he runs. But right now, look at where Mason's throwing this. He's getting hit right now, ball's in the air. Technically, Diontae's trailing him. Technically, Diontae has not won this route. This is great anticipation by Mason and great confidence and belief in Diontae. But more so for Diontae, great route running right here, man. It's a simple vertical, right? But if you do not allow yourself enough space, and we're talking, when we speak space, we're talking this right here to the sideline, right? You want to make sure that you have enough room to not only run the route, but catch the ball and get 2 feet in bounds, you know, depending on, you know, obviously where the ball's thrown, but you want to give yourself enough space to do that. And he does a great job of that. And then, as I rewind this back real quick, let's just look at this ball placement as well, man. So you can see this is a perfectly thrown deep ball right here. I mean, we understand that obviously last year we didn't see a lot of this from Mason, so we rightfully so criticized him. We questioned whether he could do it consistently. This game, now granted it was only one game, small sample size, but he did a really good job throwing the deep ball. And honestly, it dates back to what we saw in the second half of that Jets game that he came in for last year as well. But this is beautiful ball placement. Like I said, this is NFL open. He wasn't making these throws last year, but this is big time improvement right here. Ball placed on the outside top shoulder pocket, or top shirt pocket, that's how we like to say it, okay? And the reason we say top shirt pocket is just because if you got a button-up shirt as a man, some of them have little pockets on them, that's it. But where he's putting that ball at, only Diontae can get there, along with the fact Diontae has more than enough room to secure the catch and stay in bounds, and the defender can't do anything about that. So that's why I thought this was a beautiful throw and just beautiful execution by Diontae, all right? But that coverage concept that they're doing, I mean, just look at this thing one more time. I'm gonna rewind it back for you. I mean, this is crazy. Like I said, I don't see a lot of this at this level, man. This guy has not looked at Diontae one time. I mean, wow. Takes a lot of guts, man. Takes a lot of guts. But honestly, Mason wore this coverage out time after time. And honestly, watching the tape, he had this same coverage or this same matchup probably 6 or 7 times that he didn't even look there. He would look front side and take what the defense was giving him. But as a whole, man, like I said, that is dangerous business if you don't have premier cover corner guys on the backside to play a coverage like that. So let me go check some questions before we hit to this end zone copy real quick. Oh yeah, I love the check-in, man. Shout out to everybody. Let's go through here real quick, baby. All right. All right. Okay. Would you consider a coaching job? JK, man, that's a good question. Would I consider a coaching job if it was given to me? The answer is no. Not at this stage in my career. Honestly, man, I'm enjoying this time, right? Being able to create my own schedule. I love the fact that I'm able to spend time with my family. Coaching is worse than playing in terms of the amount of time that you spend away from it. So that's the biggest reason why I definitely right now would not get into coaching. But I did get an offer. I did turn it down though. So that's that. But it was all good though. So let's see, man. All right. Oh, big wiggle. So yes, for a robber, when you're talking about skinny post crossing routes, without a doubt, and that's definitely what that guy is doing right there. So when I speak of a robber technique, that's definitely what we're talking about. Any of those crossing routes, anything that's 10 to 15 yards that's going to be ending up in the middle of the field, that particular player right there, the robber safety, that's all he is looking for. All right. All right, Eli, you already know 757 in the building. Shout out to Jarrell over in Dayton, Ohio. We got Michael coming in from Parma, Ohio. Got Orlando. All right, Terry, I might butcher this. Yakapa. Y'all see this? Y'all pronounce this. Tell me how I said it, all right? Yakapa, California. We got H-Town in the building. Ooh, shout out to this. Okay. I like it. All the way in Phoenix. Okay. Got rolled out. I'm liking this. Tijuana, New Mexico. Oh yeah. We here tonight. We're here. Puerto Rico. And shout out to you, Jason. This is better than TV or Netflix. I appreciate you, baby. I think the same, but some people sound biased. But anywho, let's get back to this tape, right? So we talked about that coverage. Now, let's look at this thing from the end zone copy, because there you're going to really see a lot more in terms of the protection and why this throw is even more impressive for Mason, man. All right, so I'm going to play at full speed first so you can just see a little bit of the... Well, actually, no, we'll slow it down so we can just see this action real quick. Actually, I'm indecisive. We're going to play at full speed. All right. So you get a little glimpse of what's going on here. Now, this thing was funny about the Browns, man. They were really hunting certain matchups, man. Obviously, we were talking about some of the cover 3 stuff with the man-to-man on the backside. This particular rush front, though, if you notice this, you got what? 1, this guy down here, 2, 3. This is 3 D linemen all on what? One side of the ball. Then over here, who do you have? Myles Garrett by himself. And the reason is this. They are hunting the one-on-one with Myles and Al Villanueva. Now, it's beautiful. When you watch this matchup on tape, you see these guys go back and forth. Obviously, Myles has some success, but in terms of his bull rush and some of the things like that. But then Al does a good job with some of his change-ups, some of his trap blocks with his hands and stuff like that to just throw Myles off. But on this particular play, man, they were hunting this matchup. And honestly, man, they definitely got what they were looking for here, man. So as we play this play, all right, let's speed this up a little bit. All right, so right now, like I said, they're getting this one-on-one right now, and then they're essentially creating a one-on-one right here on DeCastro, okay? And obviously on the backside, because when you have young tackles, number one, they got Chooks, he's kind of young, but also you have these premier edge guys in terms of Myles Garrett and obviously Olivier Vernon, who was right around 10 sacks this year as well. You want to create as many one-on-ones as you can, but you also want to avoid the slide protections, right? And some of the chips and things like that. So that 3 defenders on one side alignment is solely to make them, is to make this O-line have to slide the protection this way and force them to give you a one-on-one on the backside, because obviously Dotson would be helping him otherwise. But what ends up happening is once this guy crosses the center, he does a good job initially of taking up 2, right? You see how Dotson is still connected with him and JC is connected as well. Problem is he doesn't continue on with the pressure, so now Dotson can come off and help out a little bit. But this pressure right here is what Mason feels the most. I mean, right now, before the ball is thrown, DeCastro is pretty much on his foot right now, okay? And then from there, even when the ball is thrown, you see what, hand on the shoulder, he really can't even follow through. Along with the fact that on the backside, you got the tackles kind of getting collapsed down by Myles. Now, granted, Dotson helps him out and he's able to anchor, but man, this is a very, very tight window to throw this ball. And when you talk about the accuracy that we pointed out on the front end of it, right, from the sideline copy where you saw the ball placed outside, perfect top shelf. I mean, you look at that throw and you look at what he's throwing in. I mean, that is crazy. We were not seeing this last year from Mason at all, falling back and everything. But ultimately, man, big time throw by him, big time throw. Like I said, he couldn't even step into it. And that ball is perfectly placed out there. Great hands catch by Diontae. Even better fundamentals, though. His eyes are where? Eyes on the ball. Because we said, what, with Diontae, the times that he struggled with his catching, it hasn't been because his hands stopped working. No, he stopped looking the ball and he was more concerned with, you know, getting upfield and making a guy miss instead of securing the catch, working the fundamentals first. Great job by him, though, right here, man. But once again, man, when we look at this rush, though, like I said, man, you start with the 3x1 just to force the slide protection to get your one-on-ones. And from here, for DeCastro, just has to be a little bit better with his hands at the start of this thing, right? Because that's the biggest problem. We're talking about offensive linemen, man, hand placement. Who gets to that steering wheel first? When we're saying steering wheel, we're talking these numbers, your chest plate, right? Who gets their hands inside first is ultimately the person that's going to control the other person, whether you're on offense or defense, all right? But right here, you see him, inside hand, the Castro's hands on the outside. And then when the Castro goes to replace it, he's not able to get it off of him in time. And that's why he was giving up ground. If his hands are inside, it stops it. That's the biggest difference with that right there. But good job. It was a good rush by 98. Once you get your hands inside like that, lean on the long arm bull, and then obviously when the offensive lineman, once you feel their body starting to change that pressure to counter what you're doing, now you get your hands off, which he does. Skies the rip. Well, right here, he couldn't sky the rip because obviously he caught his backhand, but he still reached for him with the front side. But really good job by him right there. But for Mason Rudolph, this is a big time grown man throw right here. All right, let's get back to these questions. See if we got anything. Hey, Tyler Morris, man, you don't want me out there, baby. Trust me, you don't want me suiting up, baby. Not at this stage. Oh, no. I'm what they call washed. I'm great ahead of. Hey, Chris, you're right, man. That was a monster of a bull, man. All right, let's see. Dog check. Go Browns. Hey, Derek, man, the fact that you tune in, baby, it's major love. I'm not tripping. We're going to see you this weekend, though. Keep that same energy. That's all. Keep that same energy. And Connor, for the game this week, yes, we are planning to do a live stream. Obviously, as we get a little bit closer, man, I'll set up the stream and everything like that. But yes, that's definitely the plan. All right, and Big Google, in terms of Matt Fowler practicing today, I'm not sure just yet because typically today is their scheduled off day. Obviously because today is Wednesday, so yes, I will check that. But I believe he was supposed to come back to practice this week, so we will follow up with that. Oh, here we go. It's a good question. Why didn't McDonald chip on Myles Garrett? So let's go look at it real quick, right? Let's see what you got going on, Mr. Vance. Okay. So for Vance, I know why. Because for Vance, remember when we talked about the wide angle, right? We said, where is Vance running? Vance is getting to that dig spot, right? The 15, 20 yards over the center, right? Because this is the spot he's hunting. That's where the ball was snapped, okay? So that's the biggest reason. If Vance was running a check release, right? And that's what you're implying in terms of him chipping Myles Garrett, right? Giving him a little bit of hope and then releasing out. You're not gonna run a vertical route if that's your responsibility. So I think it was because of the route concept with him having to get to this spot, and it's a timing thing as well. If he's not there soon enough, this guy can go find somebody else to help out on, whether it's Diontae coming in on a deep end or whatever, right? But understanding that's why he's not allowed to chip this guy. He has to go right now. If Vance was running a drag, not even a drag, because then similar concept, but anything that's gonna be short to underneath, right? Talking within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, then you're gonna have him chip and help in the protection. It's one of those things though, every call, right? You have some calls where you might have the guard on the island. You might have a call where you're gonna have the tackles on the island. Somebody is gonna get the short end of the stick because you can't do the same thing over and over, right? And on this play right here, man, it just so happened that Al drew the short end, and this was a really good rush by Myles too, man. Once again, right inside him, we can see it a lot better from the sideline copy. Dotson does a good job though of helping him, and Dotson's been playing really well in terms of some of the things that he's been able to do when he's getting opportunities. But to me, that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest reason why they didn't use Vance as a chipper on that play right there. All right, let me see what else we have. Man, and in terms of Ben Sports, in terms of what I think about Dobbs, I was very impressed. A little bit upset we didn't see a little bit more passing options with him. We had the one play where he tried to pass it, had to make Olivier Vernon miss, and then he ends up getting rid of the ball. But they really didn't use him in that standpoint. So that was the biggest thing. But I thought as a whole, man, I thought he was good. And in terms of Joe Hayden's status, as it stands today, he is still not eligible to play because of the 10-day isolation period related to positive COVID tests. That's the policy with the NFL right now. So as it stands today, he will not be available. All right. So yeah, man, we play this one more time full speed, and after that we'll go to the next play, all right? But beautiful job by, like I said, by Mason. I like the help by Dotson, and then amazing in terms of just the field awareness, knowing where you're at by Diontae, hands catching, going back to the fundamentals, the basics, man. But this was huge. This was a big play. And you love to see it. Also, man, if you're having a good time, if you're enjoying yourself, let me know, man. Put it in the comments. Let me know that you're enjoying what you're seeing, because I'm always having a blast. Y'all know how I do. All right. Now, this next play that I want to talk about is also with Diontae Johnson. Okay, and this was the second catch he had, the other 47, I think it was a 47-yarder in the fourth quarter. Now, the reason I want to break this down, because as good of a throw as that first play was that we just talked about, this next play to me is even more impressive. And I'll tell you, obviously, the reasons why. But we got to get to the clip first. Where are you at, Diontae, catching this 47-yard bomb? Where are you at? Oh, here we go. You rang. Just want to let y'all know too, y'all are awesome. I always tell y'all this. Anytime we get up here, I start getting all, oh yeah, I appreciate you, man, major love and respect. I just want to let y'all know it's for real. All right. But back to, regular schedule programming here. Let's go ahead and talk about this play, okay? So first we'll play it in full speed, and then after that, we'll break it down. And once again, got Diontae Johnson on the backside of the formation, okay? And honestly, they will flip-flop these guys. The plays where Chase Claypool had he had the two deep catches, then obviously the touchdown pass, he was on the backside of the formation then. They rotated those guys on the backside, and rightfully so, because they are both big play capable, right? They can run by you. They are great at the catch point. They do a lot of things, man, in terms of being able to run the full route tree back there. So, like I said, with Diontae and Claypool, I feel very confident going forward with either one of those guys, man. I think they need more opportunities, especially Claypool. But this right here, we talk about Mr. Diontae. So let's play this thing in full speed real quick. All right, get hype, young man, get hype. I see you, Juju. All right, so first off, we gotta talk about the coverage here. Now, the last time we said they were running what? A cover 3 with a man-to-man ISO on the backside safety was a robber. Now, this time what they're running is a cover 4 concept, okay? And with cover 4, once again, we just break that down. Oh, that was ugly. Y'all not doing that to me. Y'all gonna be talking bad. Moats can't draw a straight line. Well, where he go to school at? No, we ain't doing that. So that's his right there. Actually, let me make this a little bit cleaner for you. This guy be over here. So right here. He's on the other side, hash the numbers. And then he has that 4th right there between numbers to sidelines. So his job, numbers to sidelines, where he's covering. This safety right here is going to be hash the numbers. Obviously, he's going to be hash the numbers as well. You kind of overlap the in between the hashes part, and then this guy will be numbers out, all right? And then underneath, it's right here. He'll be straight back, and this guy's 3 on the backside. So all you're running, same what we said last one was what? 4 underneath, 3 deep. This is 3 underneath, 4 deep. That's all cover 4 is, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you got your 3 guys underneath. 1, 2, 3. All right, that's simple for you, okay? And then obviously for the Steelers, they're in 11 personnel. You got James Conner right there. And then you have Vance McDonald once again at tight end, okay? And they give you a different look this time, right? Last time we started out in the empty formation, and then it went to a 3-by-1 with Conner being in the backfield. This time they just come out in a line in it, and they give you a little bit of a bunch, right? Just enough. And the reason why you give them this, what we call a funky split, is because now defensively it makes you have to have a little bit more conversation. You have to ask yourself, how do we want to play this? Is this a bunch concept where we're going to work, 1, 2, 3 in tandem on these 3? Or are we treating that as just these 2 guys split out wide, them in the core, he's in the core by himself, and we play just regular cover 4? Now right here, they played as regular cover 4. But in Pittsburgh, for example, I mean, from being in the defense, we're boxing this, where this guy would be first to the flat. He would have the high. He's going to be first inside. And then you're going to have the safety that's going to take anything that's coming, obviously, deep and inside the middle like that. That's how we would have done it. But for them, they played it this way. There is no right or wrong. It's more so personal preference. And most teams, you switch this throughout the game. So even though we're talking about it right now, still wouldn't matter, because you would not know when we're calling it, when they're not calling it. That's the beauty of it. But from there, what they're hunting is this, okay? So once again, once we start from the top, Mason is looking backside right now. And I don't have a problem with that, because he knows, man, he has a premier matchup. If this thing is any type of man-to-man, because when you get a guy that's playing off like this, you could think, okay, maybe he's going to have vertical carry. He's going to have some type of vertical responsibility. So you're not really worried about cover 2 right now, right? And then once this thing really starts to morph, you see him giving ground, now you really know, okay, we're at least either going to be full cover 4, meaning 1, 2, 3, 4 guys deep, or it's a cover 6 concept where one guy's deep, this guy's deep, and he'll have this whole half of the field, okay? And I'll just draw it up for you real quick. If this was cover 6, okay, this is what it would look like. This guy would be right there. This guy would be right here. And then this guy's gonna have this whole half over here, okay? So it'll be quarter, let's call it quarter. Have a quarter of the field. And then he's responsible for this whole half over here, meaning from the numbers, from the hash all the way out here, okay? But like I said, they're playing this as cover 4. He's obviously staying over top of this guy. He's doing a good job in terms of just getting his good, getting good depth. But the concept that they're running from a route standpoint, it's a 9-7-3 concept, meaning 9 is the vertical route, right? A 9 is just a fly. You got your 7, right? So 7 could be a post. This case, they're running a corner because you just want to get something. This is your long route, your long ball, right? Juju is running what we call your intermediate route, okay? So this would be the 7 portion of that 9-7 concept, right? And then the last part is the 3. Something in the flat, okay? So 9-7-3 concept is just, we got something vertical that's gonna test you deep. You want an intermediate option, and then you have your short option. So that way your quarterback, and the reason you do this is this, you want your quarterback to have multiple options, but you want his reads and his progression to be easy for him as well. If he's going 1, 2, 3, 4, like that's not gonna be realistic for him, right? But for him, he can do this on the fly. He can look deep first, see if he likes the matchup. Then from there, okay, he'll come down here naturally where his eyes would go next. If he likes that, that's there. And then not, okay, safety valve. Over here, this guy's not in action right now. You can just tell by the way the play started, and with the coverage, the way these guys are over here, that's not a throw that you're gonna wanna make, all right? So that's why I definitely like this call in terms of getting an easier pass for him. Now, the thing that really impressed me though, was how aggressive he was right here. Because like we said, we didn't see a lot of this aggressiveness from Mason last year, especially on deep balls, right? That was the big thing he was criticized for. That's the thing Randy Fichtner had to answer questions about. But right here, he had this option was open. He had this option which was open, right? And we'll run it back because I know people, well, he already threw the ball. But right here, before this ball is thrown, right? Right now, this ball isn't released. That's open right there. He knows these guys are ran off. They're not going to be able to make this. So you have Juju open in this area as well. So we had 2 of the short and intermediate passes there available. I like this though, because this was low-key greedy, but at the same time a little bit risky, right? Because he goes for the home run here. And you got 2 defenders running with him. Now the difference is this, Diontae, he gets on top of this corner and that changes everything. And from there, because we said, this guy being a quarter flat defender because it was cover 4, he's not over far enough to be realistically involved in this play. Now he does a good job of getting over there because Mason has to put this ball perfect. If Mason is late with this throw, if this throw is too far inside or outside or underthrown, these 2 guys are in position, whichever side you go. So this has to be a perfectly thrown ball. And when we get to the end zone, you can really see how this ball drops in. It literally drops right in front of this defender right here. But this is a big time throw right here, man. Like I said, into double coverage. Now, granted, Diontae was still open. I felt confident with him because he is open. And a lot of times Diontae does a great job of separating at the top of the route, right? Once the ball's in the air and you got that last, second, the 2 seconds before the ball actually drops, man, when you can just create that last little bit of separation, those are the guys that can really take that next step to being elite. AB was great at that. Guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, Stephon Diggs, all of those guys are great in terms of that last little bit of separation when that ball is about to drop. So I didn't necessarily have an issue with the throw. But as a whole, man, I thought this was beautiful ball placement, man. So like I said, man, just 9-7-3 concept. But the thing that I also like is this. You get to the 9-7-3. You obviously wanted to go over here anyways, right? But you don't just line open, right? You don't just show this formation into the boundary and get a whole bunch of red flags, right? People start, antennas going up. They'll be alert for it. No, you start front side, give you attention over here, and now we're gonna naturally build this thing up. And it was beautiful. He had multiple options, man. Multiple options. And we'll look at it from the end zone, but let me just check the comments, make sure we have any questions. Okay. Hey, Mike, you're right, man. Ben has been getting criticized for not throwing it deep as well. And honestly, that second half against the Colts game was really impressive because he actually did finally connect on some of those deep balls that we've really been missing from him. Now, with Mason, like I said, he was another guy highly criticized in that department. He just happened to get this opportunity to take full advantage of it. But really, really impressed with his play as a whole. I thought, obviously he did some things that he would want to take back. That interception, atrocious, but as a whole, I thought for the circumstances and everything surrounding him, I thought he did a good job. Oh, and Forgiato, I love that name, by the way. Shout out to the Rims. So who's JC? JC, I always say JC because I butcher his last name. Hassener. So he is a backup offensive lineman, plays center and guard, but since Marquise Pouncey wasn't playing, JC Hassener got the start. So that's why I just say JC. Because, yeah, I still think I said his last name wrong. It's like Hassener. Yeah, got it. All right. Drop balls to Jay. All right, I hope somewhere in the offs playing those drop balls. Oh, absolutely, man. Destiny, in terms of with James Conner, he's going to get some of those opportunities, man. Some of those little dunk passes, that'll come back, especially more so with Ben. Ben is a lot more comfortable with some of those things like that in terms of dropping it off to him. With younger quarterbacks, it's 50-50 because if they go to the running back too much on some of these check downs, they get labeled what? That's a check down Charlie. He's not the type that's going to take risks. He's a game manager and things like that. So a lot of times young quarterbacks that aren't necessarily proven, they will come out and sometimes take, a little bit more of a chance than they necessarily need to, whereas a veteran quarterback like Ben and some of these other premier guys, they're confident in their ability. They know that they can throw deep balls. So they understand also that, hey, man, I'll take what the defense gave me right here and still live to fight another day. That's the big balance with quarterbacks. Elite confidence in yourself, but at the same time, respecting the defense and taking what they give you. I thought for the majority of the game, Mason did that. And the times where he did take a chance and challenge the defense, it worked out. So, like I said, it works in some of these cases, but you don't want to make a habit of challenging defenses too much in terms of double coverages and throwing into them and things like that. Hey, Jay, man, what up, baby? All the way from New Zealand. Shout out. Yes, indeed. And Mike, shout out to you too, man. So when I played for the Steelers, I played on defense, man. Outside linebacker and inside linebacker throughout my whole NFL career. Inside linebacker, outside linebacker, DN. Didn't matter. It was a 4-3, 3-4. I've played at all those positions and started at each one of them as well. Yes, indeed. Oh, and you're talking about, oh man, I'm trying to blank on his name as well. Gosh, that's my guy too. Oh man. What is the position the wide receiver coach that? Oh, Drake, Daryl Drake, that's his name. Yes, he was the one that definitely stood up on the table and was banging for Diontae to get drafted. And it's good to see these type of things come to fruition because Diontae is a very hard worker, baby. Very hard worker. All right. But let's get back to the tape real quick. So, you said they were running what? Cover 4 or at worst, or at best, cover 6 because the backside, right? Either way, it's not going to change anything front side. Great job taking advantage of the 9-7-3 concept, though, and challenging these guys, right? Just because And we would say this all the time, and Coach Tom was big on this. He says, just because you're in position, just because you got a guy covered, doesn't mean the play's over. Right now, I mean, if this is practice, these guys are probably saying, hey, look, man, we made this play. If this is practice, this quarterback probably doesn't even throw this ball, right? 2 defenders on 1 guy. But in the NFL, just being in position isn't enough because these guys are freaks, man. Some of these guys can make those type of plays. So right here, initially they were in good position, but the finish was not there, man. Better finish by Diontae, even better throw by Mason. But now I want to, like I said, go to the end zone copy so we can really see this thing, baby. And we talked about the O-line last time, right? In terms of some of the pressure they allowed on Mason. This rep, totally different. Now, granted, they don't give you the 3-by-1 alignment, right? So they're not trying to work the ISO on out or get that one-on-one. What they're doing this time, they're running just a little pass rush game, right? A little TE, or excuse me, a tackle in stunt. So that's the end, that's the tackle. He's coming down to pin him. The problem is they slid his way. So anytime you're to the slide side when you're running the game, yeah, it's done. Because this is the problem. And when I say the slide side, this is what I mean, right? So with this offensive line here, they're sliding the protection this way, okay? So that's what you see 1, 2, 3 offensive linemen on the same side, where you got just 1, 2 on the backside. These guys know that these 2 guys right here, they know they're by themselves. Al knows I can set heavy outside because I have a slide protection, meaning I have a guard, Dotson right here, that's going to help me to the inside. Anytime you get a premier edge rusher like Myles Garrett is, you typically slide protection to him. You typically will have a tight end chipping him and things like that, or you'll have the running back chip him on the way out. TJ Watt gets a lot of that. Bud Dupree was getting it as well. That's what you do. When you start getting the slide protection to you consistently, you know, all right, I'm that guy. But right here, though, man, good job. Now, look, Dotson gives J.C. Hassener hand help early. And this is the thing I love about Dotson, man. Very unselfish, man. He understands the position. He understands where to help, where his eyes need to be. So right now off the snap, he's giving you what? Inside hand help on he's giving J.C. inside hand help on this on this tackle right here, right? He checked right there to make sure there's no blitz coming, right? Nothing late. Now his eyes are going outside so he can pass off this twist. Because what you don't want to do is I'll follow this guy down and now this guy's able to come across, right? Because that's what you're hunting as the DN. You want to crash this down so this end could come around and you create a natural pick. But Dotson does a good job of not allowing Al to chase this guy down, and now he's going to do what you call a bump tick. So he's shoving him out there. So now Al can respond to it. Granted, he was a little bit late, but he got just enough of him to run him by. Great effort by Al, though. But as a whole, man, that was a great job by Dotson. Like I said, stabbing right here, check for the blitz. All right, now get my eyes outside. Let's go. Stop that. Get off me. Get up out of here. Al, gotta go. This is beautiful right here, man. That's what's going on in the front. And then, and that was to the slide side of the protection. Now to the back side. Now to the backside, regular little cook right here. Now you saw, we talked about this on the last one, right? We said, because Vince was running a vertical route, we didn't get any type of chip or anything, right? Now you have, I think this is Kevin Rader right here. He's running an underneath route, right? A little drag. So even though these guys are wide in their stance, this guy's in a 9 technique because and when we talk about the 9 technique, this is what we mean, right? So a 6 technique is head up, okay? 7 technique is slightly inside. And then you have the 9 technique, which will be outside out, okay? Outside, head up. It's going to be more inside shade, okay? But from there, though, good little bump. Get them up out of there. And now they're done over here. This is a cluster, right? They're not going to be able to create any real pressure. And from there, DeCastro just easy clean up. Chooks likes him finish a little bit better, but as a whole, good job keeping that pocket clean for Mason. But this is what we're talking about right here, man. Just look at this. This is beautiful. I mean, let me just. The ball just dropped in. Unreal. I mean, you see these guys, they are right where they need to be. I mean, the only thing that I would critique I mean, obviously you would want this guy to have gotten on his horse and ran a lot sooner, obviously because Diontae was burning down there. 42. For him to try to get in this play, you would have to just leave your feet and try to play through the hands. But as a whole, man, that's tough. That is a big time throwing catch, man. Big time throwing catch. And Diontae knows it. Juju knows it. That's why the guys are running down there like that, man. But let's look at it again from the sideline. Like I said, for me, man, I'm just happy to see these younger guys stepping up and making these plays consistently, because we know, regardless of if this happens, and we're talking about the receivers right here, right? We know when you have these type of positive performances, that carries over. That's going to carry over come playoff time, which we know is going to be impactful. This is when the real season starts. But I'm also excited because for Mason, this is a guy that could potentially be the long-term backup. He could potentially get an opportunity to start whenever Ben decides to hang him up. I want to see more of this. And the fact we got to see a glimpse of it in this game, man, it really was a lot more encouraging than what we saw largely from him last year. Let's go check out some of these, though. Hey, Eli, man, come on, baby. What you mean everybody can't draw, man? Cut me some slack here. Let me see where we're at. Says they... All right, so... Most toes. I've never heard that before. Shout out to Most Toes. All right, do I believe Ben in his presser today when he says that he is willing to let any QB play if he thinks that will help him win? And do I think, or do I look at Mason's tape and think he could be the future? So the first part, in terms of would Ben be open to allowing another quarterback to get on the field? If Ben said he was open to it, I have no reason not to believe him. He's never lied to me personally. In fact, he's always told me the truth. That's my guy. So, yeah, if he says it, I do believe it. But obviously, we're not talking about 20 plays. I think he's referring to if it's like something situational. Obviously, the Colts, they do it. We saw it last week with the Colts, they do it with Jacoby Brissett and Phillip Rivers. We talked about that. We saw it last week with Mason and Dobbs. And then, obviously, the Saints do it with Taysom Hill and Drew Brees as well. Could Ben be open to something like that? If it's working, sure. But we both know if it's not working, he gives you the best opportunity to win right now. So I feel like I wouldn't want a lot of it if it's stagnant, if it's not working. And the second part, in terms of do I think after watching tape on Mason, he could be the future? The problem is this: when we're talking about the future, we want our future to be like Ben, right? We want it to be that level of play, right? Just come and replace the Hall of Famer, be Aaron Rodgers, right? I don't know if Mason is capable of that at this stage in his career. He's shown flashes, but like we said, we haven't seen a large sample size. So for me to say he's the future, I'm not ready to say that. Do I think he has potential to be a good starter, though? I do think he has that potential, and we saw glimpses of it this past game against the Browns. The biggest thing is this, though: to be a good starter, it's not just one game. You got to do it over and over and over and over. So until we get a larger sample size of Mason, it's hard to say that, but I do think that he can be a decent starter if given more opportunities.